Welcome to our Meet the Parents podcast, the show where we share stories from everyday life to help with the ups and downs of parenting. We're going to have real, honest conversations as together we grow everyday faith in our homes. Be sure to follow us on your favourite podcast app, and if you want to watch the videos, they're available on YouTube. All episodes and show notes will be available at livingrock.church/Meet the Parents.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Lisa.
And we're married with 3 teenage children. We've got our eldest son is 19 and our youngest daughter is 15. And we know every experience of parenting is different, and we're certainly no experts. There is no one handbook, there is no one right way. So it's so easy also to feel alone as a parent. So we want to hear from other families what they've tried, what they've tested, what they've failed in, what they've succeeded in. And together we're going to learn together how to sort of grow a family. And this podcast is a place to explore that wonderful variety.
Yes, we're going to meet all sorts of parents from all different stages and ages. But we also are going to think about what it means to be a new mum or dad. So various episodes on that. We're going to look at the challenge of trying to find time to yourself and time with God when actually you have no time at all by yourself. There's usually a toddler following you somewhere, or the realities of life like that. As well as like when your child doesn't get potty training and everybody else's child does. I've been in so many toddler groups where they're talking about their child getting it and you're the parent whose child really doesn't. We've been there. We're going to share that honest story. So there's lots more to come. So do follow the series. There's loads to look out for.
So, and today we're going to chat, and we're going to meet our lovely guests in a second. Today we're going to chat about being a first-time mum. Check out our other podcast about being a first-time dad, and what it's like and whether it's anything like we expected it to be. Now, don't switch off if you are a dad. Hopefully this will help anybody else and perhaps get inside the head of a mum maybe a little bit.
We'll see.
Whether you're expecting your first child, whether you've already had your first child, and understanding families that have children, young children especially, this is for you. So in a minute we're going to welcome Kim and Lauren, who are going to share their stories, but first
we just thought we'd tell you a bit about ourselves. So before we had our children, we were like planners. I like lists. I have lists everywhere, and I thought I had everything sorted. And we planned everything out carefully, lists about how our family was going to look, how it was all going to work. And we were really delighted when we had our first child and the due date was planned for half term. As teachers, we thought we'd made it.
Nailed
it. Planned it for half term. What could be better? I was going to finish my teaching time, and then I was going to have time at home with my baby. Except he had kind of other plans. So our eldest was 2 weeks late. I was sat there the whole of half term, totally bored.
Waiting.
Because I would walk to the shops. I have an exciting outing to go and get milk just so I could get out the house. I painted things that I've never painted since. And it was just like that time. So we tried everything, and all the advice about how to get your baby out. We tried it all. We tried the raspberry leaf tea, the sex, the curry. The curry didn't go well.
No, curry did not go well.
Because the curry led to food poisoning. We then missed the meeting at church. Everyone's then on the phone. Oh, have you had the baby? No baby. Fed up mother. You even made me walk to the top of the rocket, the tallest rocket in the Leicester Space Centre, to try and get this baby out.
Up the stairs. You weren't allowed to take the lift.
All the way up. Okay.
The baby's going to come out.
Baby did not want to come out. Ended up with a really tired mum, and I was pretty shattered after that, and still no baby. So nothing worked. So try it all. But,
brilliant. So now
can't guarantee anything.
So now you know all about us. Thank you. So now we're going to find out a bit about our guests. So can we welcome new mums, Kim and Lauren. Kim Lyon and Lauren Shooter, who are both on our leadership team at our church, and it's just great to have you both.
Yes,
thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So just introduce yourselves. Tell us how long you've been married, how old your young ones are. We were debating whether to have them in or not, and we probably realised it's probably best not to.
I think it was a good decision not to.
So tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm Kim, and I'm married to Benj, and we've been married for 8 years, and we've got an 8-month-old.
Brilliant. Yeah. You know those facts, better than Benj did.
Oh, well, that's good.
No, he got them all right, though. It's good. Go on, Lauren.
Yeah, I'm Lauren, very new mum. My daughter is 3 months old. Her name is Amelie. I'm married to Mike, and we've been married for 10 years.
That's so great.
Yeah.
So exciting. And if you could have one parenting superpower, what would it be? Because every parent likes to dream of what you would have, what would solve a lot of your problems, if you have any problems. Maybe you live in the dream.
No, I think I've probably got a countless list of superpowers that I'd love to have. I think at the stage that we're in at the moment, we're currently weaning Hope, and
Nice.
we've been doing baby-led weaning, so it's much messier. And every day I think, oh, how nice would it be just to click my fingers and all of this food mess would just disappear. So I'm not wiping this indistinguishable food mush off my daughter 3 times a day. Or the other thing I was thinking about, which when Benj and I were talking about this, I think we had similar thoughts, is that we would just be able to lounge back on the sofa and we'd have these elastic arms that would just stretch out and be able to pick up and move our daughter when she starts moving towards the cables or trying to eat the plant, and that we'd just be able to redirect her without having to chase her all the time, which seems to be our life right now.
Yes, it's a different
So you're
stage.
blessed that your one isn't.
She's not
moving
mobile
yet.
at the moment, no. But
Not
I've looked at Hope today thinking, oh, yep, that's to come, where she's all over the place.
What superpower would you?
For me, I've never wanted this superpower until now, but it would be to time travel. I think it would be really nice to just go and check up on her, like when she's in her 20s, and be like, are you okay? Like, how's life? Are you all right? And then also to go back to the day that she was born. It was so wonderful and so magical. I would love to just relive that over and over and over again.
Yeah, really special memory.
So,
Oh, that's so cool. I remember all like the baby food just getting everywhere, isn't it? No matter how hard you clean it, you find some like,
It's the
quite grim,
most
isn't it?
disgusting thing.
You have to just accept that no matter how hard you clean, they're still there somewhere.
So I think you've got another story to tell us, something to do with Turkish food and chicken nuggets. So what come on, enlighten us about that.
Yeah. So I remember when in the early days of being pregnant, I really struggled with nausea. So I had hyperemesis during my pregnancy. So that was interesting. It's very hard. You're feeling very unwell all the time. But I remember specifically being about 8 weeks pregnant, and it was just before Eurovision.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd already planned that we were going to have a mini Eurovision party with our brother and sister-in-law. And we'd been talking for weeks about how we were going to watch Eurovision, and we had a big scoreboard, and we were going to eat Turkish food. That was the plan. And my husband particularly was looking forward to trying out this new Turkish takeaway in town. And on that day, the thought of Turkish food just repulsed me. In fact, any meat was just made me so queasy. And the whole time watching Eurovision, I was sat so close to the door, just trying to breathe in fresh air, just curled up, eating a bowl of microwave macaroni cheese, because that was the only thing I could stomach at the time. And I just felt like throughout my pregnancy, meat was like the big thing, just like, it just made my tummy feel funny. And even now when I think about Turkish food, I think it was the other week, Ben said, do you fancy Turkish? No, definitely not.
Too many associations.
But the only meat that I could stomach, if you can call it meat, was chicken nuggets. And it was just the only thing I wanted to have. And we'd get up in the morning, Benj would make his bowl of cereal, I would just pop in a tray of chicken nuggets in the oven, that for my breakfast. Then lunch would come around, I'd just pop another tray of chicken nuggets. And genuinely, for weeks, I would just be living off chicken nuggets. And I spoke to the midwife, I was like, this feels really bad for my baby. Just, all I'm eating is chicken nuggets. I should be eating fruit and vegetables, but this is the only thing I feel like I can eat. And she really encouraged me that your baby gets the nutrients they need somehow. As long as you're eating, as long as you're keeping food down, don't stress yourself out on whether it's super healthy or not. And that really helped me in pregnancy when I was having my moments of just living off chicken nuggets and quavers and anything that genuinely all I would think about when planning meals was, what do I not mind throwing up?
Been there. Well, you do what you got to do. Well, how about you, Lauren?
Yeah, it's similar in pregnancy. I was really sick as well at the beginning. Didn't have it quite as bad as you, Kim. But yeah, I was also sick. I remember any kind of smell would just set me off. Yeah. So the smell of the dishwasher. I can still think about it now. It doesn't bother me now, but when I was pregnant,
the smell of the dishwasher.
Yeah, like when it needed to go on, or the smell of the fridge.
Yeah.
So I was like consistently cleaning the dishwasher. Just to kind of...
Well, this I wasn't planning to share this story, but I will.
Love it.
Mike said to me, I need to wash something up, and it is going to smell really bad. Don't come in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And curiosity got the better of me, and I was like, "What is that? What is that?" And I went in, and he had like a thermos mug that had milk in it.
Yeah.
That he'd left for a really long
That's
time.
bad for anyone.
Yeah, a good few weeks. And he was like, "Don't come in, don't come in." And I was like, "What? And I like put my head around the door as he was opening this thermos and vomited everywhere.
No,
and he was like, "That was your fault because I told you not to come in." And I was like, "No, that was your fault because you'd left that horrible thing and not washed it up sooner."
Marital harmony. Bless.
Yeah. Oh no.
So yeah,
bless you.
Good story though.
Few pregnancy sicky stories.
Yeah. No, happens to us all. It can leave you feeling.
Was there something
really
about your phone?
Yeah, tell us a story about your phone.
Oh, this is a really embarrassing mum fail on day one of Amelie being born. So I was in hospital for 6 days before Amelie made an appearance because I was induced.
Yeah.
And my body just decided that it wasn't ready to be induced, and nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. A few twinges here and there, and I was like, "Oh, this might be it," and then they stopped. And so I was in hospital being induced for 6 days, and eventually had a C-section, which all went wonderfully. This section went wonderfully, but I was exhausted, as you can imagine. And Amelie decided that she was going to cluster feed the night she was born, and she did not get off me.
Wow.
She didn't pause for breath, that girl. She was feeding all night long, and I was so tired. And I was like, I need to stay awake because I can't fall asleep with this baby on me. So the only thing that would keep me awake was I was watching YouTube videos on my phone. And I was getting really, really drowsy, and I was like fighting sleep.
Yeah.
And like, no, stay awake, stay awake. And I dropped my phone on her head. And I was like, oh no, like mum fail. It tapped her, and she didn't even stir. She definitely didn't cry. And I was like, okay, I think we're all good.
You're okay.
That was my very first mum fail, dropping
We all
the phone
have
on her
them.
head.
We do.
Definitely.
Do you remember the time Joe rolled off the baby mat into the drawer?
Oh yeah, with
we had a changing table,
yeah.
and it was on some drawers because we hadn't got much money, so we didn't buy a posh changing table. We were like, we'll just use the drawers. And I had the drawers open, thank
the top drawer.
Lord. And he literally was at the stage where he was rolling and literally rolled and landed, thankfully, on all his like muslins and soft landings. And I was like, and I just remember feeling so guilty that I was the worst mother that had ever lived. Would my child ever live to tell the tale?
He was
Would
fine.
you forgive me? Would I forgive myself? He was absolutely fine. Probably laughed actually, because he was at that stage. So we've all been there. We've all had our little moments.
That's good.
Yeah, so you're not alone.
So let's move it on a little bit. So obviously being a parent is wonderful and scary at the same time. We've talked about some of these fails. We remember coming out of hospital for the first time, having to work out, strap the baby into the car seat. And I remember like even just clicking the click of the baby into the seat, and am I going to crush him? And things like that. That was quite interesting. And then on the way home, we were very tired. There's a very wide road near the hospital that's 3 or 4 lanes, but it's still a 30-mile-an-hour limit.
Yeah.
And I went 35, I think, because I was so tired. The road was empty, so I got a speeding ticket. Not good. But I did have, on the driver awareness program, I did have the best story out of everybody for getting the ticket. But yeah, I think I should have been going a little bit slower.
You weren't really going fast, to be fair, because
no.
you were trying to be really careful. We were just so tired.
It was. But so preparation as well, practically and mentally for having the baby. How did you prepare yourself? You know, tell us about that. Lauren, you go first.
Yeah. Okay. So I've worked with children my whole career. I studied child development for A-level. I studied it at university. I was like, oh, I know, like I know what I'm doing. This will be a breeze. And it's much harder than I thought it was going to be. And I'm definitely no expert. But taking things that I've learned from my career and my studies and applying that to everyday life has been helpful. And then really practically, I loved decorating her nursery. It's very pink. It's very, very girly.
Wonderful.
But yeah, I really enjoyed like planning and preparing in her nursery and putting all her cute little things in her room. So that's what I did to prepare.
There was
it was really
news,
fun.
wasn't there, where they knew the sex of the baby and they decorated the nursery, and then the baby was born and the scan was wrong. So the nursery was the wrong colour.
Yeah, I think that can happen quite a bit, particularly if you're told you're having a girl, and sometimes they just don't see everything on the scan.
Just saw that the other day, but you were confident.
Yeah,
it was there.
Yeah. Her legs were spread eagle on the scan. They said it's definitely a girl. So that was good. Good to know.
So how did you prepare, Kim?
Preparing,
were you able to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm such a planner, and I love writing all my lists and my notes and doing my spreadsheets and planning what we were going to do. And so in many ways, I think I was probably over prepared with the practical stuff because I was like, I just need to make sure everything's ready by a month before, because you just don't know what's going to happen. You always hear stories of a baby arriving unexpectedly. I mean, Hope did actually arrive 1 week early, so at least I was, prepared. And practically for me, the game changer was making loads of meals. And we were so blessed that after we had our daughter, our friends and our family came round with loads of meals, but I had spent quite a bit of time beforehand. Anytime we had a meal that was freezer friendly, I would just make loads of it and then put a bunch in the freezer. So I probably had in the freezer about 2 to 3 weeks worth of meals.
Wow.
So, and it didn't mean we were then just having those, but if we just weren't in the mood to cook, or if we were really, really tired, or we were short on time. So during those first few months, we were just able to dip into the freezer, and it just really helped us at that time. And I think part of the reason I prepared so much practically is because I didn't know how to prepare mentally. And I think my experience has been very different to Lauren, because I have not had loads of experience with babies or children, not overly confident, and I was genuinely quite insecure about my ability to be a mum and what that would look like, my ability to bond with our baby. And it was something that played on my mind, and I would write down on my phone just a list of all the situations that I imagined would stress me out. Things like people critiquing what you did or giving unwelcome advice. And I think I was just a bit paranoid that would happen all the time, that people would watch the way I did her nappy or fed her, or how I got her to sleep. And so the only way I could really prepare was to share all of this with my husband, Ben, and I was just really open and honest with him about, this is what I'm insecure about. These are the situations I worry about, and I will need your help to help me navigate, particularly when I'm really hormonal. And I don't know if I'm going to have an instant bond with our child, and I don't know how I'm going to tackle that emotionally and how that will affect my mental health. And I really need your support in those situations, and I need you to encourage me with your words, but then also to protect us as a family if we need time alone. So that was how we prepared, and we just prayed about the situation together as a couple. So I think that is what helped me mentally prepare, and the reality was so different to what I wasn't fearing the worst. I'm very realistic. I'm a very realistic person. I just think I'm not that experienced. I don't know what this is going to look like. And, people do get things like postnatal depression. And, I want to be aware of the possibilities. And for me, it was just pure joy in meeting our daughter. And the bond I experienced with her was not what I expected.
Yeah.
It was I don't know if I would describe it as instant love, but it was that feeling of you are a part of me.
Yeah.
You have been a part of me for 9 months, and even now I look at her and I think you're a part of me.
Yeah.
And there's that closeness, and that bond grows, and that love grows, and it's the most special thing. And all those worries I had about, you know, nappies and feeding and sleeping, it all just became second nature and natural, and your instincts take over where you think, I don't have all of this head knowledge. You do pick things up over those first few weeks, and you're spending so much time with your baby. It's natural.
It is lovely. So you've obviously, you know, you do all your preparations and things. I remember washing our baby's clothes for the first time. I just loved, you know, when people give you stuff or you get stuff in early, and I was like, I remember getting like, is it like fairy non-bio or something? And I got this, I loved the smell because it was like new baby smell, and I remember washing all the tiny baby clothes and hanging them on the line before the baby came, and I was like, oh, this is so lovely. And they were all beautifully put in the drawers. I mean, obviously it only took like a few weeks later, and you had best intentions, but usually you're grabbing like 3 or 4 sets a day or whatever, and they're going everywhere.
Just a pile of washing.
For one day, they all looked gorgeous, and they hung in the line. And I was like, I felt like a proper mother. I remember that moment so well. Obviously, you know, there are different ups and downs with parenting, but what would you say has been like the most amazing or most exciting discovery that you've learned in having a baby? You know, what's been the most exciting thing for you? I'll ask you again, Kim.
Yeah, I can go first. I think for me, it's discovering that we don't just have a generic textbook baby. She's a person. And I remember those first few weeks, every now and then Benj would tell me, I don't feel like I know her yet. I feel like I'm getting to know her. And I think maybe there's an assumption that as soon as your baby's born, you know them. But for us, I think the discovery has been learning that she is an individual person, and as more of her personality comes out, and she's got her little quirks, and it's such a beautiful, amazing thing because you know, they're not carbon copies of you. You know, there will be some genetic similarities, but you're discovering this new person, this new individual, and that's just super special, and it's ongoing.
That's
cool.
It's same for me. Just discovering her and getting to know her and knowing what she likes and what she doesn't like. It's the best thing ever. And so for Amelie, she loves the bath. The bath really chills her out. She loves music, which I love music too. And I like that she likes the kind of music that I like. We're both Swifties.
So far.
We both like Taylor Swift.
Very good.
She's just getting to know her. There's like certain songs that we play that she really likes, and it's just really fun. Getting to know her and discovering her as an individual is really, really exciting.
You're at the beginning of a very exciting adventure, because I love that still. Even for us now, it's an unfolding thing where they just keep showing you more and more of themselves, and each season you get a bit more of a revelation of who they are and who they're becoming. It's such a privilege, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
I love it.
And was there something that you wanted to say about breastfeeding and the fact you really wanted to breastfeed as well? What was that?
That, for me, that is something that was really important to me. I really wanted to be able to breastfeed her. And with her being a week early and with her being born via C-section, I was like, I'm not sure if this is going to happen. And the midwife said to me the night before she was born, like, try and hand express some colostrum. And I was like, okay. I persevered. I was trying to do this for what felt like hours. And I was as dry as the Sahara Desert. There was not a drop happening. Coming out of me. And I was like, Lord, please. I was like praying. And I was like, this is really important to me. Like, can this just be natural? Can this just naturally happen for us? And I prayed about it. And that has been something that I feel like I pray about all sorts and pray about everything, so you don't have to worry about anything. Is just I found that become my everyday. And so I prayed and just handed it over to God, and as soon as she was born, she latched immediately and fed, like I said, fed all night the first night, and that's just been something that's been really easy for us both, and I know that that's not everyone's experience, and you know, however you feed your baby is, you know, that's fine.
Absolutely.
But for me, that was something that I really wanted.
Yeah.
So that was a really special moment for us.
Oh, that's so cool.
So
That's great.
yeah,
Good answer that, Bretty.
thankful to God. That was our experience.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, that's
That's
a
really
real
good.
blessing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what's perhaps been the scariest thing then, Lauren? What would you say? You know, that was like your most exciting. Obviously, there's a lot of different things probably, aren't there, going around your head? And you're like, oh, just being a mum is scary in itself, isn't it?
I feel like there's something I find new every day to worry about. I don't know if that's
Can I
just
say,
me.
I think mums are like the biggest worriers, actually.
Yeah.
If you ever meet a mum, they're like, oh.
I felt before I was a mum, but my personality is I think I'm quite chilled.
Yeah,
Since
you
being
are,
a mum, I'm like, ooh, I'm a bit worried about this or I'm a bit worried about that.
Yeah.
So praying about everything,
absolutely.
like I say, is just so important. I just hand all those little worries over to God.
Yeah, great.
But one of the things when she was the night we brought her home, she was sick, but it was like brown, thick, chunky sick that went everywhere. And I was like, what is this? And that was really, really frightening. And again, I just prayed and I was like, Lord, I don't understand this. And it's the middle of the night and I don't really know who to talk to about this. So I'm just going to entrust this over to you.
Yeah.
And I just trust that she's okay. And I trust that everything's fine. And I just felt peace.
Great.
And we saw the midwife the next day and she said it was really, really normal.
Yeah.
I took a photo of the sick and I was like, can I show you this?
I
Is
love
this
that.
normal?
Yeah.
What is normal showing pictures of sick, or is the sick normal?
Is the sick normal? But also I'm showing this person I
Having
don't really
photos
know.
of everything on my
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
It's so normal.
I was taking photographs of wiring the other day, but that's a bad thing. So.
And she said, oh, we love photos. We see photos of poo. We see photos of sick. So I was like, okay, great.
Interesting.
And she told me that it was really normal. And it was just
Great.
that she'd swallowed some stuff when she came out and
Yeah.
she needed to get it out. And that's what it was.
she's
And it
being very
always
positive.
makes perfect sense
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
say, "Oh, she swallowed some stuff when she came out." Would not
Yeah.
have occurred to me.
Yeah, yeah.
No, well, it didn't occur to me either.
Yeah.
But I found the peace of God in that moment and then
Great.
checked it out the next day and she was fine.
Yeah. Oh, praise God.
That was scary at the time.
Yeah. Isn't that great? Well,
Yeah,
okay.
I think similar to you, there's always things, little scary moments or things to worry about. I know Ben just told me that definitely since having our daughter, I'm really nervous in the car all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like the worst backseat driver. I'm like, ooh, 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 ooh. And
I haven't changed.
I know. It's just like you're so aware. You know, we've got precious cargo. So there's always the little things, and I think there are big things. I know that we've had a few medical scares or little tumbles that do scare you.
Yeah.
But for me, the biggest thing that stands out was her moving into her own room.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, we sleep on the top floor and our nursery is on the middle floor. So it just felt like this big step for her to be on a totally different
Yeah.
floor to
Lots of
us.
steps.
Yeah. I had to. So for me, it was like, okay, how can I get myself used to this and get her used to it? I mean, it was probably a bigger deal for me than her.
Yeah.
So I would move her crib slightly further away in our room
Did
initially.
you?
Like
Okay.
I can't see her at all, but I can hear her.
Yeah.
And then when we did finally move her into her room, I then slept on the middle floor for a few
you?
nights.
Yeah.
And it's just, you're so used to being physically close to
Yeah.
them.
That's
The night it's the night time, and I would be thinking, but what if someone burgles the house
Yeah.
and they get to
Yes.
the middle floor before us?
Yeah.
Just a question for our dads here: what tech have you got joining?
Well, oh my
bedroom?
goodness.
What haven't you got?
I know dads need to know about tech.
Yes, well, we do have an outlet camera.
I have no idea what that is, but
Yeah,
just carry on.
It's good. I wasn't massively involved in the decision making, but it was an important purchase.
But does that help you feel connected?
It does. Yes. I mean, yes, it does. it helps me, and when I look at it is a good camera, a good monitor, and we can see the camera on my phone. It's very good
Yeah.
quality, and you can but I'm not entirely fussed about the technical side. I'm like,
Love it.
if it was like 10
it's
quid,
important.
it's fine to me.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
No, yeah, it does the job, and she's thriving, and I think she's probably sleeping loads better without us disturbing her.
Yeah.
But it's a big step.
Details of the tech will be in the show.
You get outlet here.
Outlet.
So what would you say was like an embarrassing moment? I know we've talked a little bit about dropping the phone on Amelie's head. Are there any other like funny stories or embarrassing stories you want to share with us?
Oh.
Have you got any more to?
I
So I
don't know. Go on, Kim.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, we probably have a few, but they're quite recently. So before our daughter was in her own room, we had gone to stay in the Lake District with my sister and her family, and we were staying in an Airbnb, and it was the last night, and she was just being a bit grisly throughout the night. She kept waking up, and often when she's like that in the night and I just can't settle her, I do a bit of a reset, and I think, okay, I'll change her nappy, I'll feed her again, I'll put her down as normal, and she'll go to sleep. And Benj was asleep at the time, and I thought, okay, I'll just do a really quick nappy change on the bed, and that'll be fine. I've done it loads of times before. Don't need to get the changing mat out. Just be super, super quick.
Can I just say here, Benja's got a really good changing nappy story in the dad's one. So if you haven't seen the dad's one out, that is
We've probably
quality.
got a lot of experiences.
Yeah, go on, sorry, please continue.
I was like, I'll just do a really quick change. Started changing her nappy in the dark. And I was like, it's fine. I've done this loads of times. And
What could go wrong?
I just at that moment, she did probably the worst poo she's ever done in her life, all over the sheets. And I was like, oh no, Benja's asleep. This isn't our house. This isn't our bed. These aren't our sheets. And I don't know how to clean this up. And so for some reason, I thought it would be a good idea, because I was like, okay, I need to move her without getting poo everywhere else, so I'll just lift her onto my shoulder. So I just put her there. I was like, it's fine if I get poo on me, it doesn't matter, I just need to clean it up. So I kind of balanced her on my shoulder, and with one hand I had wipes, and I was just trying to wipe the bed, and Ben was still snoring away, fast asleep.
Amazing.
And then suddenly she just carried on pooing all down my body,
no, Kim.
and I was like,
Oh, bless you.
oh no, and she was just like frantically trying to wipe up all this poo. I'm like, what's happened? What's wrong with? No wonder she was grizzling all night.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Ben rolls over, looks at me, horrified, and says, "What is going on?" I was like, I need help. I don't know what to do. All my clothes are covered in poo. There's poo all over the bed. I don't know what. So we had a bit of a frantic time in the night, just trying to clean everything up. Took the sheets off. It had gone through the mattress protector. It hit the mattress. And I had to sleep on a towel for the rest of the night, and but thankfully we didn't get left a bad review, so we did have to warn them. We were like bracing ourselves for they pooed the bed, but you know.
Oh, spectacular.
That is a quality story.
That is a great story.
Yeah, a bit of a fail, but
We've all been there.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
all been there.
But it wasn't you, if you knew.
I know. I always take these risks, and it's like, why? I was like, living life on the edge.
That's how we roll, isn't it? Cool.
So now, viewers, parents, grandparents, we want to hear from you as well. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please go to the comments below, leave us a tip, leave us a comment. That'll be really, really good.
About babies.
About what we're watching. That would be great. Ask us some questions as well. Give us ideas for future episodes. That would be really, really fantastic. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to make this interactive.
Yeah.
So please do that.
Yeah, cool. So, Lauren, how do you think being a mum has changed you? Has it changed you, or are you still the same person, or have you?
Oh,
changed
definitely
in some way?
feel like I've changed.
Yeah.
So I knew you were going to ask me this question, and I was thinking about this in advance. And my honest answer to that question is I am happier.
Yeah.
I really am
Yeah.
happier since being a mum.
That's
So
lovely.
for us, we struggled with infertility. And we've been very open about that. And it took us 5 years to conceive. And with that, obviously comes a lot of disappointment, a lot of sadness, a lot of heaviness. My heart was heavy for years. It was something that we always wanted. We longed for children, and I always saw that in my future and really believed that God was going to give us a baby. I was full of faith. Mike was full of faith. We just didn't know when that was going to happen. And
Can you just mention the pushchair here? Because I can't. I don't know if you're going to mention the pushchair.
I wasn't. I can talk to you about the
Because
pushchair.
obviously that's linked to your faith, isn't it? This
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Go on, just bring the pushchair
Okay,
into
I'll
the story,
think-
because that is good. Because I love that bit.
Yeah, so we were very, very open with our struggles with fertility. And the reason why we were so open was firstly, because we didn't want anyone to say, oh, why haven't you got children? Oh, when are you going to have children? Because people say things like that and people ask about that. And that would always hurt me.
Yeah,
so I was like, okay, let's just tell everyone that we're struggling and then people will be more sensitive, which they were.
Very good.
And secondly, we just wanted our church family to be supportive and stand with us, and we wanted them to pray for us, and our church family have been incredible. So for those of you who are listening, thank you so much for all of your prayers. We felt like the whole church was lifting us up in prayer, and we felt really supported.
Having you here talking about this is quite emotional because it's just, this is the day we've all been praying for, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm on a parenting podcast. I'm a parent now.
I know. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. So the church was standing with us and praying with us and bringing us words, and we were just constantly encouraged, and we really felt that actually being open about it was a blessing for those reasons. And there was a couple in the church that decided to buy us a pushchair well in advance as a statement of faith. So we went out, and we were so blessed by this couple who said, choose whichever pushchair you want.
It's like a Jag. I reckon it's like a Jag of pushchairs. This pushchair.
It's a really nice pushchair, isn't it? It really is a nice pushchair.
Nice
so we went out, and they said, honestly, don't think about money. Just buy whichever one you wanted. So we went out. We went out with our friends who helped us to pick one, and I thought that was going to be a really emotional, horrible time, like going to buy a pushchair and without being pregnant. But actually, I was just full of faith. It's like, we will have a baby in this pushchair one day. I was convinced of it. And so we bought this pushchair maybe 2-3 years before I got pregnant.
Wow.
And we were like, okay, we can either leave this in the box and put it in the garage somewhere, or we can put it up and have it in our home. And we chose to do the more difficult option emotionally. So we had this pushchair in our bedroom for 3 years before we conceived. And every time I looked at it, I was like, okay, this is my statement of faith. I'm believing that my baby's going to be in there, but also awesome. This is really hard because the baby's not in here at the moment, and it would get dusty. And that was like really emotional to dust this pushchair, to be like, this is literally gathering dust. So what we did was we hung all of the prophetic words that we'd had over us, we had so many words over us, and all the scriptures that was encouraging, and we'd hang them on our pushchair.
Love that.
And so it was a very visual statement of faith. And I listened to a preach about Noah and about Noah's Ark, and how Noah had built this ark believing that there was going to be a flood coming, but not really knowing what that was going to be like, and people thinking that people must have thought that he was crazy. Like, this crazy man is building an ark where it's never rained here, and that actually the ark was like a statement of crazy faith. And I thought, oh, this is our statement of crazy faith. If my non-Christian friends knew that we had a pushchair in our bedroom for years, I'm pretty sure they may have thought that I'd lost it and gone a bit crazy.
Well, they do now.
I think a few of them saw it actually, just like, oh, that's Lauren being a crazy Christian again. But that it was my statement of crazy faith that actually I believed that we were going to have a baby. And now I push that pushchair with pride, and every time I walk into church pushing it, or walking around the village with her, I thank God that actually we've got our babies in our pushchair.
So cool.
I'm happier. I'm much happier. But also, just to add to that, during the times of difficulty and during the times of disappointment, I was filled with the joy of the Lord. And that's very different from happiness I've experienced. That joy comes from the Lord, and it comes from the Holy Spirit that's within you. So I had this joy that wasn't based on my circumstances. My circumstances were really difficult for a season, but actually this joy was not based on that. This joy was from the Lord.
Oh man.
But now that she's here, I'm happy, really genuinely just happy, and I had the joy from the Lord, but now I also have this happiness, which I found is different. I believe that happiness is based on your circumstance, but joy comes from the Lord.
That's right.
And so I'm really happy now, Mama.
So good.
Sparkly eyes and everything.
So good.
I've had this beaming smile for 3 months now.
You have, and it will never get in. So you
wow.
talked a bit, Lauren, there about how your relationship with God has really helped you to carry you through a really difficult season of your life.
Yeah.
How has, taking that relationship with God, how has that helped you now as a mum? How have you got your new baby? How has God helped you, particularly in that first few months of having your baby with you?
I've needed him in a new way.
Yeah.
And just being aware that he is wisdom.
Yeah.
There's no one with greater wisdom other than the Lord.
That's right.
And I ask him for wisdom all the time.
Yeah.
And like I said before, I pray about everything.
Yeah.
And there's times where I've been up in the night and I've been like, why is she not settling? And then I suddenly feel like I know what she needs. And I don't think that's me figuring it out. I really believe that is the Holy Spirit within me and him being full of wisdom to say, try this. Do this, and I'm like, oh, okay. He's the parenting expert, so
he made her.
Yeah, he made her. he knows her better than anyone.
Yeah.
He understands all of this way better than I do, and he reveals things to me.
So good, isn't it? Yeah. I love that verse in is it Psalm 139. It's like, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and how he formed you in your mother's womb. And, he knows when he was making her all those years before you even knew what she would look like and you were praying for her, he knew what she'd need, and he'd know you were the perfect mum for that baby. I love that.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
He's designed you two to be together.
Yeah, his design, his creation is
so he's
wonderful.
going to help you. How about you, Kim?
I think for me, having a relationship with God has just meant that I have got this indwelling peace.
Yeah.
And there's various scriptures in the Bible about peace, but one that sticks out to me is in Romans. It talks about the God of hope filling you with joy and peace when you trust in him. And for me, yes, there are daily worries that crop up, and I do pray about them, but then I also feel like often when a worry comes in, it's overridden with peace. It's just like, okay, well, I'm worried about that, or I'm anxious about that, but it's almost like something inside just eases, and I just know, even though maybe there's an issue that hasn't been resolved yet, or I haven't got, had the wisdom to know what to do yet, but there's just a peace inside about it, and I just know that it's all going to be okay, and I don't need to be anxious about that situation. Just that steadiness and that calm.
Your rock.
Absolutely, it just anchors me 24/7.
Yeah, it's so good, isn't it? Yeah.
So thinking challenges now, being a mum, what's probably been the biggest challenge regarding having a family and having a birth and
having a birth. Having a birth.
That's technical way of saying it.
The most technical. But we know what you mean.
Who wants to
go, Kim?
I can go first. I think there's obviously challenges for you as a mum individually, and then how it impacts your partner, the family. And for me individually, the biggest challenge I found, particularly in the earlier months, was just not feeling like me anymore. And there were just so many points when I'd be really tired. I'd look in my wardrobe and think, I don't know what I can wear, because I'm constantly having to think about what's going to be suitable for feeding our daughter. I'm not feeling like I'm getting enough food, and it's all about her, and I'm not really looking after myself enough. And I think I was constantly I pretty much always have to tie up my hair when I'm around my daughter, because she just wants to pull and suck on it. And it's just all these things that kind of take away from you a little bit. And, I really enjoy my job, and I really enjoy working, and I absolutely love being a mum, and I enjoy that too. But it's just a change in your identity.
It's a big change.
And so I would just have to think, okay, what are the things that are going to help me feel more like me again? And the biggest thing for me was just having a shower. More so than having sleep. Like having a shower was amazing. And I would think, okay, I'm just going to buy expensive shampoo. I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to, and I'm gonna blow dry my hair. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna air dry it today. Like
Yeah.
I'm just, little things
Yeah.
that just made me feel like a new woman. And things that you'd maybe take for granted before.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I'd be like, okay, that's what I need. And I would tell Benj like, okay, this is what I need today. I need you to take Hope for an hour or so, and I'm just gonna lounge in the bath. That's what I
Nice.
need.
Yeah.
And so I think for me individually, it's like, making sure I don't lose myself completely. That I still feel like me, and so that was for me personally. But for us as a family, like, or for me and Ben in particular, it's communicating effectively together when you're really sleep deprived.
Yes.
Yeah.
And remembering to connect and make time where you're not just constantly talking about our daughter.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, and it's easy to do. We probably still do that all the time. But I think having that, finding time to communicate when we're not super tired is really, really important, because we lean on each other so much. I think, and just not feeling guilty about asking him for help, particularly. And
That's
I
really
used to really struggle with that. I'd always
you?
think like, I'll ask Benj if he can have her for an hour, but if I go over, then I've got to apologise.
Yes.
Oh,
And it's
really?
remembering
Yeah,
like, no, and he would say this to me. He'd be like, I'm her dad. Like, I'm not a babysitter.
Yes.
And I don't need to feel guilty, because we're a team and we support each other. And so I think it's just working really effectively together.
Very good.
That's
Happy
good.
to be
Thanks for
married.
sharing that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's
really good.
similar for me. I think what the biggest challenge for me has been, all of a sudden your needs come second.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want a shower as soon as I wake up, but no, she needs feeding as soon as she
Yeah.
wakes up.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, I put that need of hers first,
Yeah,
or
sure.
or anything. I could be feeding her and think, I need the toilet, but actually I'm going to have to wait because like she needs me, or just loads of things. Is that all of a sudden this little person's needs come before my own, and that can be hard if I'm really honest. That can be really hard. You're like, I just want to do this, or I just want to do that, and I can't. But I have found that as I've been meeting her needs, the bond between us just strengthens and grows, and like now she really settles when I cuddle her, and she's starting to recognize that I'm her mummy, and she smiles at me, and all of those things are just so worth it. And it's like, it's okay, it's like, this is exactly how it should be. You come first, and then we're creating this really special bond. But if I'm honest, that's hard.
Yeah, it
And
is hard.
again, really honest, like, sleep deprivation is tough.
What's the hardest
tough.
thing? You become a different person without.
Yeah.
Like, I just cry if I'm really tired.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Still do.
but again, like, going back to the praying about everything, praying and asking God that our baby will sleep well, and praying, as I'm like putting her to bed, I hand it over to God and just say, Lord, I just pray that we have a really good night's sleep, because it's good for all three of us. And I pray that she rests well, and I found that actually, majority of the time she does. And people will say to you, she's not going to sleep, or wait till this, or wait till that, and actually it doesn't always have to be all doom and gloom. And we can pray, and God wants you to rest, and he wants you to sleep, and we can pray about those things and expect that actually he's going to answer that prayer, and you will sleep again.
You will.
You will.
Trust me. There'll be a time when they're a bit older, when they don't wake up. And then you're like, oh my goodness, it's the other way around.
Yes.
I remember as well when we'd had our third child, and I remember I lost myself at that point, because I think for so many years I was giving to our children.
And being needed
I
in
forgot
that way.
who I was, because I'd spent so much, and I think I didn't go back to work in between either. So I remember having a real crisis. We were writing our Christmas newsletter to the family, and I was like, I don't know who I am to write my paragraph, because I didn't know what to say. Who was I apart from mum to these three lovely kids, And I remember that being really.
By the way, we don't always do Christmas newsletters. We don't anymore.
That might have been the last one we
That
ever
probably
did.
stopped, yeah. We're not like.
No, I think that was the last
Yeah.
one. I couldn't be bothered after that. But I remember thinking, who am I? in all this. And it's so easy as mums to lose yourself and spend all the time thinking about other people. And I think something I would love to encourage people who are watching to think about is about having that time in the presence of God, because he tells you who you are. And I think there's a verse, I think it's in the Message translation, that says it's in Christ you find out who you are and what you're living for. And I remember thinking, yeah, it's only in him that you find out the fullness of who you are, because it's easy to be mum, and even when you meet people, they're like, oh, you're so-and-so's mum, and you're never like, I was never Lisa, I was like mum of. And so I think just spending that time in the presence of God and finding out from him who he said I was, listening to him when you need him and you've got those challenges, actually helps you to realise that I'm more than just serving my family. And it's okay to stop and look after myself. I'll be a better mum to them if I've stopped and taken a moment for myself.
Yeah.
And that's really, really key stuff. Thank you for sharing that.
So we're going to start wrapping it up. Just a few little things to put at the end, but really good. We've got what advice would you give a mum expecting their first child?
Can I say we were going to go with 3 points?
Oh no, hang on, we've got some 3 points coming up after this. There's is a first question, then there's some...
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
What's the...
advice? Well, I've sort of touched on this just now, but having good communication with your partner or your support network is crucial. Throughout your pregnancy and when your baby arrives, I've definitely found for myself just making sure that I'm not internalizing all of those thoughts and all of those emotions or struggling by myself. And I'm really, really open and honest with Benj all the time about how I'm feeling. And sometimes I do have to think like, okay, am I really, really just overtired? Like, what do I need? Because he's not a mind reader as well. So, no, I mean,
that should be the superpower.
Yeah, I think that needs to be a superpower. But I have to extend a lot of grace, and he has to extend a lot of grace to me, and we have to be really patient with each other, because particularly with the sleep deprivation, you do become a different person, and you have to remember that your partner isn't the enemy. You're a team together, and you're parenting together. You're on the same side. You're not you're not on opposing sides. So I'm just really open with him all the time. And an example of this is we went through a couple of months where Benj had a really bad back, and he couldn't lift Hope. He couldn't really do there are a lot of things he couldn't do. He couldn't lift, he couldn't rock her, he couldn't lift the pushchair in and out of the car. There were all these things that he couldn't do, and I was getting drained. I was really exhausted because I was feeling like I'm just doing everything. And I was really open with him about that. I was like, I'm really struggling, but I know that you physically can't do this either, and I don't want to force you to. So let's get creative and think, okay, what are the things that you physically can do that maybe you don't normally do, that will just lighten my load a little bit, or even just that's like a physical example, I guess. But when it comes to the mental stuff, I feel like I'm carrying the mental load a lot, and I'm constantly thinking in the evening about, okay, does she need to drop a nap soon? Does she what do I need to prepare her for her food? What should she be eating? And do I need to start thinking about nursery stuff? Like I'm constantly thinking about what she needs, the next stage that she's moving into, and there's always stuff to think about. And sometimes I would ask Benj, like, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And he'd say, I really trust you. You're doing a great job. I'm happy to do whatever you suggest.
That is so familiar.
And it's great that he trusts me. It's great that he thinks I'm doing a good job. But I'm like, I really just need to have a conversation with you, and let's just look at the options together. And then I know that we're in it together, and we're carrying the mental load together, and it's that's not good. As heavy on me. So that's just how we operate. We're just really, really open with each other, and he'll tell, like, he told me I'm not allowed to say silly daddy. That's one of his pet peeves. I'm not allowed to say silly daddy at all. So there's like little things,
but that's helpful, because you could We're constantly winding each other up by saying it without even
Yeah.
knowing.
Little niggle,
I
but
love
just,
that. Yeah, really
Yeah.
good to be open.
So we were going to try and do 3 joint takeaways, weren't we? But you guys had so many things that we've said, which is so wonderful. You've
They're
got
so
3
wise.
each.
They've got too much good advice.
I'll let you kick off.
So
Lauren.
3 little takeaways that you
Yeah.
think, if you could summarise 3 takeaways from today, what would those 3 things be?
So my biggest takeaway, probably my biggest bit of advice is get a support network.
Yeah. Really
And
good.
what I mean by that is that for me, I am so blessed that I've got so many friends that have got children. Because it took us a little bit longer to have a baby. All my friends have babies.
Yes, of course.
And actually, that's wonderful because I can lean on them and ask for some advice. And I really have done that.
Good.
And there is one of my friends who has been an absolute lifesaver for me. She's a very experienced mum and she's a midwife. So I have just asked her everything. Right. And she's been really there for me at the end of the phone. And just to be really just not embarrassed by the things that would be embarrassing. So like in the early days, she'd text me and she'd be like, how's your postpartum bleeding? I'm like, it's this colour, is that normal? It's this consistency, is that normal? Like really like
That's
asking some
so reassuring.
very open questions. Or she'll be like, have you had your first poo yet since you've had a baby? How was that? And just being really vulnerable and really open with someone that just gets it.
Yeah.
And
That's so
actually,
helpful.
it doesn't need to be embarrassing.
No, not at all.
And
It's just natural, isn't it?
We all go through it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very normal. And so, having someone that I've just been able to be really open and vulnerable with has been amazing.
Fantastic.
So thank you to her if she's listening.
So that's point 1.
Yeah.
2 and 3. Then.
Okay. I think these are things I've already said, but just knowing that God brings wisdom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Praying about everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has been really good. And then thirdly, again, I think I've touched on this, is that when you're pregnant, you will get people that will say, oh, you're not going to sleep, or oh, yeah, wait till she's weaned, or wait till she's teething, and can actually kind of paint out this picture that motherhood's like horrible.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No,
it's
it's
wonderful. And for
Yeah.
anyone that's listening that's pregnant, I just want to be the voice that says, wait until they hold your finger, or wait
Yeah.
until they
Yes.
fall asleep in your
Yeah.
arms, or wait until they smile at you for the
That's
first
it.
time, or wait until you can like proudly push them around in the pushchair.
Yeah.
Like there's so many wonderful things to come.
Yeah.
And just be excited
Yeah.
if you're expecting, because
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
And I
that's-
suppose on the flip side to that is, if some of those times aren't wonderful, if a mum is struggling to bond, to
Ask
use
for
that
help.
support network. Ask, do not
Yeah.
just sit at
Absolutely.
home worrying about it.
Absolutely.
Reach out.
Yeah.
You're not
speak
alone,
to
are
people.
you?
You're not alone. And it's been wonderful to see the church body like working in a totally different way that I hadn't
Yeah.
seen before. So another one of my friends is an experienced mum and a healthcare practitioner. And the times when I've been worried, I've said to her, like, is it normal that she's doing this? I'm worried about this. And she's been like, that's totally normal. I
Yeah.
experienced that with my
Yeah.
children, and it's okay. And so just to see that the church body is like working in that way where
Yes.
there you can really see, like, I need you and I
Yeah.
need you, and thank you for helping me in this way.
Fantastic.
Has been wonderful. So there's been times where I've texted Kim and I'm like, my boobs are engorged and she's not feeding, and I'm in pain and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And Kim's like, it's all right, I've been there.
It'll be all right.
And you know, like
It's so reassuring.
we need each other.
Yeah,
and
totally.
so
Fantastic.
use your friends.
And I think
Yeah.
if you're someone who's got your life together normally, sometimes being a mum can be quite a shock, because suddenly you don't know what to do.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I know I'm I like order and I like a bit of control, I probably admit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a bit. And, so I know for me, being vulnerable was quite a big deal, because I was somebody who liked to seem all orderly and to be honest and say, sometimes things are really pants. It's
Yeah.
actually okay. And
Yes.
everybody is liberated by you saying that, because like, oh, phew, you're one of us.
Yeah.
So actually being brave to let your guard down
Yeah.
and be
Yeah.
honest. And if you're struggling, not to keep quiet and be strong, because it's
Absolutely.
not
Yeah.
strong.
Absolutely.
It's okay to let go and
Yeah.
and cry and find a friend.
yeah. And hopefully then, if there's other people that are having babies in the church family, hopefully I can share the wisdom that I've learned from the people that have done it before me. And that we're a family, aren't we? We're a family and we help each other.
That's right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So Kim, your three little takeaways for
my 3 takeaways from the things I've shared today. Firstly, just trust that you know your baby best. I think, as Lauren said, there's so much advice that you could get, which is super helpful, but then you might get a lot of unwelcome advice as well, and there are a lot of opinions. And I know that I at points have struggled where I know my baby, I know what is best for them, I know what they need, and just really trust that, and don't you can obviously be polite when advice comes your way, but you don't need to shoot it down. But I think just trust your gut, trust that you know best, you and your partner as parents, that you've got the best instincts. Secondly, know that your partner isn't your enemy. I've said that before, but I think it's really important to make sure that you are a team and you're united. And if you don't have a partner, then just making sure you've got that support network is really, really important. You need people around you. You can't do it all by yourself.
And I suppose this is another podcast, but going forward, you're a team and providing that team. So when you're starting, this is obviously future, but when you're getting to behaviour things and how the rules you have in the household, how you treat, and being united on that is going to help keep your marriage strong. And so that's just
start well.
Forward thinking as well. To start well, but then that's the future, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, definitely.
And point 3
is...
Have a little look.
Prioritising time for self-care.
Showers.
Have a shower. Please have a shower. Just look after yourself. And put yourself first sometimes, and protect yourself.
Fantastic.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. We've learned so much about you, and I know you've shared some real great gems there that are going to be so helpful to many of us watching and listening. So thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate it. If you're watching this video, do like and share it with people you know. If you're a grandparent and you've got children who are expecting children and babies and you want to share this video to encourage them to say, this is real life, and it's okay to be vulnerable and honest. And I think we've got some really great advice there from Lauren and Kim, so do check that out. If you want to give us some more suggestions of what questions we can be asking in other podcasts, then do go to livingrock.church/meet the parents, and we'll look forward to hearing any top tips or advice or questions you've got, and we'll follow those up later. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Bye.